Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaming Lounge Podcast, episode 57. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and as always, I'm joined by Dory. How's it go, Dory?
Hey, it goes and goes. Just been, God, this week has been a long week, and I'm glad that finally the weekend is here. Can enjoy some of the demos that came out for Summer Games Fest for the indies. So I've been doing that all day. It's almost summer camp time for me, so I've been doing some trainings and stuff like that. I'm excited for the summer to be here. I mean, you wouldn't really know, at least in New Hampshire, that the summer is coming because it's gray and cold and windy, so not great. But I'm hoping it's supposed to heat up in the next 5 days. So looking forward to that. And I love the summer. It's probably my second favorite season. It used to be my first until things started getting hotter for some mysterious reason. But yeah, I'm excited today. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. Talk about a Splatoon spinoff, some Silent Hill news, and I've already kind of teased it, but we're going to talk about some of the indies from Summer Games Fest, which we didn't get around to. And the big topic for today is the Switch 2, as well as one of its launch games, the next installment in the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart World. So we'll be talking about that towards the back end of the show.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of summer, and I am able to relax. I have one more assignment left in my class, and then I'm free until August. So I've been playing a lot of games, to be able to just chill, not worry about stuff, which is great for me. And we've been talking about Summer Game Fest for 2 episodes now, and that was gonna be our third one. We did 3 episodes in 1 week, technically, and so we're concluding our Summer Game Fest trilogy with the indie games, the ones we didn't get to talk about in the bigger shows, because there's just so many games to talk about. But before we get into that, I want to hit on the Splatoon spinoff that got randomly dropped in the middle of the week by Nintendo, which is unusual for them, especially like a game like Splatoon, which is very popular. Alright, so let's get into it. A brand new Splatoon spin-off game is officially in development. It's the first in the franchise to step outside the main multiplayer formula. The game is titled Splatoon Raiders, and it focuses on single-player gameplay, which is a major shift from the series' usual PvP battles. Set in Spherlight, is it Spherlight Island, something like that. Players will.
I'm pretty sure it's Sphere.
It's gotta be because there's no H next to P.
Oh,
so it's like
weird. I don't know enough about Splatoon lore to tell you.
Yeah, I love those games in terms of the gameplay, but I don't know anything about the lore. Players will explore a mysterious new region filled with challenges, secrets, and adventure mechanics. Players take on the role of a mechanic, traveling and surviving alongside deep cut characters, Shiver, Fry, and Big Man. The gameplay is going to focus on exploration, resource gathering, and base building, blending action with light strategy elements. No official release date has been announced yet, but it's expected to arrive in late 2025 or early 2026. It's going to launch on the Switch 2. And also in the same trailer, we got Splatoon 3 news. There's a new version coming out, 10.0. The update gives us 30 new weapon kits, the return of Urchin Underpass with the updated visuals, and crossplay between the original Switch and the Switch 2. Alright, so this is cool news. Single-player Splatoon game sounds really cool. Splatoon's one of their best IPs, one of their best new IPs. And I'm very curious what this game is going to be like, but it sounds like it's a base-building survival game. So it's usually not my kind of game, but I am interested to see what it's going to look like. I think visually it's going to look really nice. I think the Splatoon characters look really cool. And the world of it is really colorful and fun to look at. Does this do anything for you, Dory? I mean, I'm not sure if
Eh,
this is a Switch 2 exclusive or not. It might be a Switch 2 only game. So you
I mean,
obviously,
it might as well be. I've never got into the Splatoon series. I think maybe I played a game on someone else's Switch once, but I was never particularly good at it. You know, multiplayer games in general for me are never really my thing. But I mean, that said, I do respect the Splatoon series in terms of its aesthetic and art style, and just the sound effects. The sound design of those games are always really cool.
yeah,
I think it's a really neat world. But yeah, survival and I mean, I was already not going to play this, but making it based around survival and fort based building stuff,
yeah.
not for me. Like three times over, not for me. But cool that it's getting an update. I hope it's a great one for all the Splatoon enjoyers. And I don't know anything about Splatoon. Really, I mean, the only thing I knew was from like a Let's Player I used to watch, and even that's mostly faded in my memory. But I mean, it looks great, and I do, like I said, I love the art style. So single player is cool though. I mean, if it got good reviews and it's a single player adventure, like maybe I'd at least think about it. But you know, it's probably going to be at least like $60, right, for the Switch. So I don't think I can do that for a series I don't even have a lot invested in.
Probably 70 now.
Ugh.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to some Resident Evil news. Resident Evil 9 Requiem uh got shown to the media. So gameplay got shown to the media, privately to the media. And even though they can't show any gameplay or show any footage of the gameplay, they they were able to share what they saw. And I watched several videos of people sharing what they saw, including Sphere Hunter. She made an amazing video on Resident Evil 9, and I agree with most of what she said. So let's get into it. So it says Capcom recently showed off gameplay from Resident Evil 9 behind closed doors during Summer Game Fest. The demo featured a dark, atmospheric setting in a sanatorium where the protagonist is stalked by a terrifying, like, giant creature. Players begin
Yeah,
in a
it's supposed to be like a hag or something.
yeah, it's like a woman. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Players begin in a gruesome scene strapped upside down before taking control in a puzzle-filled first-person segment. The game allows seamless switching between first-person and third-person perspectives, letting players choose how they want to experience the horror. So what they said in the footage that they saw, the third-person switch was at the end of the show, and it was the big like reveal that you're able to switch between first and third. And from what I'm hearing, it's not like half-assed or anything. It's like the game is designed to be both perspectives. It's not just like a tacked on like kind of like Avowed was or like Oblivion or something where third person is an option, but it doesn't really play well in third person. I think I think they know that a lot of people prefer Resident Evil in third person, and that Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 remakes are sold very well and very popular. So not everybody's a big fan of the first person horror. So it's cool to switch, and then obviously first person is more terrifying, and it gives more Resident Evil 7 vibes. The most common thing I heard was that this game was giving Resident Evil 7 vibes again with the first person perspective, and that's really good, really cool. Because Resident Evil 7 is what brought back the franchise basically, because it was on the verge of dying after Resident Evil 6, and Capcom was not doing very well. Resident Evil 7 not only turned Resident Evil around, it turned Capcom around. All right, and then obviously the new protagonist is Grace Ashcroft, and she's an FBI technical analyst, and she's the daughter of Alyssa, who's in the earlier Outbreak games, and of course it takes place in post Raccoon City environment. It takes place in post Raccoon City, and it has a lot of environments that you can, I guess, travel to in Raccoon City. It could just be one set piece in a bigger game. I don't know. I'm sure the whole game is going to take place in Raccoon City or not. We don't know that yet. It's built around the RE engine, of course, and RE engine is really awesome. And
Right.
like every Resident Evil game is going to be resource management. I'm sure there's going to be puzzles and inventory. I heard the inventory is similar to Resident Evil 2 and 3, I think. So that's cool. Yeah, so from what I'm hearing, it sounds awesome. I'm excited for it, of course. Resident Evil is my favorite franchise, and I'm curious about this stalker enemy. So the big thing that they keep doing in Resident Evil games now is have a stalker enemy. Practically every new Resident Evil game in the last 6 years has had a stalker enemy. Resident Evil 2 had Mr. X. Resident Evil 3 had Nemesis. Resident Evil 4 had Mendez for like half the game, and Resident Evil Village had Lady D, and Resident Evil 7 had so even longer than that. So to include 2017, Resident Evil 7 had what's his name? Forgetting his name. The family. So I'm just blanking on his name. So the stalking enemies their go-to move with Resident Evil, and they're doing the same thing here. Now the big speculation was that it's Lisa Trevor, which would be wild because she dies in the Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. Like in the remake, she jumps. She says her mom. She says mother, and then she jumps down into the chasm, and we never see her again. So we just assume she died by the fall, but you just don't know. And then all of a sudden, Umbrella Chronicles, which like is canon and it fills in the blanks, like how Wesker woke up from being killed and he survives and he fights Lisa Trevor and drops a chandelier on her, and then the mansion blows up on top of her. So it's very unlikely that she survived that, but it's I guess it is possible that she lived because you couldn't kill her in the game, and she had all the viruses in her. They used her body to create the G virus and everything. So it's I'm very interested to see if it's Lisa or not. Dory? How do you feel? Do you think it's Lisa?
I think for the reasons that you mentioned, it would be weird if it was Lisa, but I mean, it would be a hell of a reveal. People are saying it's some kind of hag-like creature who is really, really tall, so not exactly Lisa's model that they used in the RE0 or RE1 games.
RE1.
I think RE1. I always think she's in Zero for some reason,
No.
but she was in the remake of 1. I think that's what I get confused with because I
Yeah.
think it was a bundle or something.
She was brand
But
new to the remake. That was it.
right, right. Yeah, and so I think it'd be kind of wild that if they did that. I'm not against it, and I'm not as deep in the RE lore as you are, so I wasn't aware that they had even killed her. Well, actually, I was aware that she says mother and jumps off. It's been a while since I've seen that scene online somewhere. I have vague recollection of it,
Just
but yeah,
just for the audience, really quick lore. The person that created the mansion, George Trevor, he brought his family to the mansion, and then when his family gets there, they both get kidnapped, and his wife and daughter get experimented on, and her mother doesn't survive the T virus and becomes a zombie, and they kill her off. But Lisa, for whatever reason, is like has immunity to viruses, and they use her as an experiment. They just give her every progenitor virus, every virus they can find on her. They put the Nemesis parasite on her. They put it.
yeah,
That's what creates the G virus. And if you don't know what the G virus is, that's what's in Resident Evil 2. That's what Birkin takes, and he turns into a mutated monster. So if she has a G virus in her, then it is possible that she mutated to a bigger monster because G virus always mutates constantly. So there is a possibility that she got bigger in the 30 years after, in the 30 years, plus like maybe like the radiation of the Raccoon City and the nuke and all that affected her. It is possible, but it still feels like a huge stretch. Now, the reason a lot of people think it's Lisa is because, like Sphere Hunter said, the noise that the monster made was the exact same noise as Lisa, like the exact same noise. Like Sphere Hunter, she even showed like footage of her reacting to the footage, and she showed the actual clip of the sound, like you can actually hear the sound clip of the monster made, the noise that the monster made, and it sounded just like Lisa. So it's possible. But anyway, enough about that. Do you how do you feel about the third person, first person point of view? Do you think it's good, or do you prefer?
yeah. I mean, having more
what do you prefer?
options is always.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So what do you prefer?
I prefer the third person, but I don't mind the first person. I never minded it in 7 or 8. I'm easy to please when it comes to this. I like first person games and I like third person games. But I do prefer having more of a sense of where the character is. So I do like that third person detached narrator kind of vibe instead of the first person one when you're really in it and you can't really see like behind you. Now, obviously, that works really effectively for horror games, and that's part of the reason I don't like it, right? Of course, because it makes it easier for you to
Yeah,
get scared because you're embodying the character model more effectively than you would be if you're in third. But I like this. I mean, you can just pick whatever you want to be, and now you do have to go into the menu and click it on or off. It's not like a push of a button, like you can't click the stick in or whatever. So
yeah,
that's a tiny bummer, I guess. But I don't really care. I might try it on just whatever default they give me, which might be first person, and then just go from there. If I don't like it, I could do third person. But I mean, I never played that DLC where Ethan was in third person. I never felt the need. I enjoyed my time in RE8 and 7, although I know the DLC was for 8, for first person. So I never felt the need for it. But I'm glad that Capcom is giving us options, and like you said, they're not half-assing it. They're not doing that. I personally don't think it's Lisa Trevor. I mean, maybe it's some kind of reference to her or a splice of her DNA or some shit. Like it could be an offshoot. I think that would be cool. But for the reasons you said, and I don't know. I don't get that vibe. But like I could be totally wrong, and
yeah.
I haven't listened to the monster screams versus Lisa's sounds. Although I did hear that was why people thought it.
It could also be Alyssa because we don't know if she's even dead. Like they say she's dead, but it doesn't mean she actually is. Maybe she's the monster. Maybe she got injected. Also,
Maybe.
and Grace has the antibodies of the T virus in her because she took the daybreak. Because Alyssa took the daybreak. I think it's what's called in the cure in outbreak. So Grace has like the antibodies of the T virus. So there's a guy in a hood that wants her blood for some reason. I would assume, like the guy in the hood is like mutating. Like he looks like he has like a deformed face or something. So I'm guessing that that's gonna tie into like that daybreak somehow because now that outbreak's
Right.
canon. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's pretty much everything that they hit on for
You
the.
did mention that they are going to focus more on puzzle solving. I'm always a little mixed on puzzles in games, so I'm interested to see how
Well,
they balance that. I'd love it if they had kind
yeah,
of a difficulty slider like they did for
for Silent
the
Hill.
the remake for Silent Hill 2 remake. I like that they had that difficulty slider.
Yeah,
Although I don't think I used it much, but yeah.
they've always had that in Silent Hill, even in the first
Oh,
game.
okay.
I'm pretty sure. But why I don't think I didn't say there was more puzzle solving. It does say that, I guess, but Resident Evil's always been a puzzle heavy game. Like, every franchise, every Resident Evil game has a lot of puzzles in it. So yeah, uh, but it's always more action based though, to comparison to the other survival horror games. Like Resident Evil's
Yeah,
other games, you only get like a bat or a crowbar or something,
sure.
piece of wood. Resident Evil, you get a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher. You get a
Right.
magnum, handgun, shotgun. All right, so let's use that to transition to Silent Hill F gameplay, and then the Silent Hill 1 remake news, which was a big deal. So horror fans, we're eating good right now. We're in something I call a horror renaissance. I think for the last like easily the last 3 years for sure, or 2 years, it's been like just bangers everywhere, like AAA and indie space of great horror games. Like like we got Dead Space remake and Resident Evil 4 remake like really next to each other that in 2023. And then this year it just looks stacked. And then Resident Evil 9 comes out early next year, so it's just constant barrage of great games. Anyway, Silent Hill F comes out this year, and we got to see some gameplay. Not a lot, but just enough to get a feel of what the game's going to look like and play like. And it's definitely very third person. You can see the entire character from behind them. Only thing you can't see is their legs. And it shows like her battling a bunch of random enemies who are like look like students that's probably gonna tie into the psychological aspect of the story, and like maybe she's being tormented by their students or bullied or something. And some of the gameplay we already seen in the state of play, but overall, it looks like solid gameplay to me. I think it looks good, and I think the atmosphere and the graphics look amazing. And I'm very excited to play this game. And what'd you think of the gameplay?
First off, whoever did that score, I think I want to punch you in the face, very respectfully. It just nails on the chalkboard in my ear. A lot of people in the comments also complaining about it. I just did not like the whining. I think it's I don't know what kind of musical instrument it is. I think it's a kind of Japanese guitar. But either way, I did not like the music that they chose for this. But that said, it is based apparently on Silent Hill 1, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yep.
But I liked what I saw. The aesthetic, the art direction and atmosphere just look incredible. I love the emphasis on red, which gives it its own kind of distinct identity. All the flowers kind of coming out like vines to like grab her feet and grab her arms.
Yep.
Third person's great for me. Like I said before, I'm pretty easy to please on this one, but I do prefer third person by a little bit. Ultimately, I do like having that sense of control a little bit more. So I'm glad that's the road they've taken. Silent Hill's always been about, from the developers themselves, they said that it's always been about having a Western theme mixed with or a Western location mixed with a Japanese horror theme, right? But here they've really brought it back to Japanese lore and horror, and setting in place, of course,
Yeah.
which I really appreciate and think that will give the game its own identity as opposed to just a small little town named Silent Hill. So I really like that, and like you said, the combat looks good. It doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't have to. That's not what Silent Hill is really about. It's always something that sticks out to me. I like how the creatures look like these fucking like mannequins. There's like one big like tank looking creature that has like a tentacle that grabs her at one point. And yeah, it just looks really cool, really fucking creepy. I mean, I'm probably day one, pending reviews and what people are saying and stuff, but it looks great.
Yeah, the aesthetic of it reminds me of Siren and Fatal Frame, which are both classic Japanese horror games. And obviously, the people that made Siren were former Silent Hill devs, so that makes sense. Uh, do you know those? I know you probably know Fatal Frame. Do you know Siren at all?
I do not know Siren. I do know Fatal Frame.
Yeah, so Siren is a great Japanese game. Doesn't play. It's hard to play. It's a hard game, but it's like demonic, like Japanese people that come after you, and it's one of the scariest games. And also, it's very revolutionary game because the character models were like real people, like real actors. Like the actors' faces were on the bodies of the game characters, so it has like an uncanny
Oh,
valley effect. And it makes it very unique. And the dub's funny because the dub is all British people, so it's like all Japanese people, but like with really strong British accents. And then
that's funny.
the second game, I think they dubbed it with Japanese voice actors speaking in English, so it sounds like Japanese people speaking English in a very stereotypical way, and it also doesn't work very well.
There's an Asian comedian who has an Australian accent, and I saw one of her jokes on YouTube, and she was like, "I know that my voice doesn't match my face," and she's like, "I look like I have the voice of someone who would hate crime, a face like me." It looks great. I'm really excited for it, and I'm probably day one, depending on reviews, like I said. So, speaking of Silent Hill 1-esque music. We also got a random trailer. This is wild. In 1 week, we got a random trailer from two different companies, first Nintendo and now Konami. But the Silent Hill 1 remake seems to be a thing. So I think Seb turned me on to this, or maybe I saw it seconds before Seb did. But it was around the same time. And basically, like, Konami was doing a press start showcase, which I had no idea was even happening. But they didn't show much that we didn't already know. Besides this, of course, And it wasn't much. Bloober obviously just finished Silent Hill 2, so don't expect, I wouldn't have expected much to be shown here. Apparently, they started development in 2023, or at least I heard as much. I don't know if that's the case though. If so, that means probably 2026 or even 2027, depending on how much remake they do. But basically, they they teased that another Silent Hill remake was coming, and then they used Silent Hill 1 music specifically. So everybody's freaking out. I'm pretty excited because I knew I was never going to go back to play these games. So I'm really glad that they're doing it. I wasn't going to play that HD collection, that's for sure. So I'm glad that they're doing this. I will patiently wait for Silent Hill 1. And I think it's the trilogy that's hard to get. I don't think 4 and the other ones are as hard to get, although I could be wrong. But Konami's not very good at preserving its games in general, unless like your Metal Gear Solid or something, right? Obviously. But yeah, very exciting news.
Yeah, I mean the emulators are pretty easy to get, but yeah, like in terms of like an official release, yeah, there's no official release for Silent Hill 1, 2, or 3. I mean, they had the HD collection for 2 and 3, which was not well received, to say the least. And they basically lost the source code to the original games, and they had to revoice everything. And in their HD remaster, James was played by Troy Baker. All right, so Silent Hill 1, though, which is a classic PS1 game and one of the best PS1 games, is getting a remake. And once again, we're going to see Harry Mason in his search for Cheryl. Now, if you're new to the series, Silent Hill 2 is actually the one that stands out from the rest of the games. Silent Hill 2 is focused purely on James's torment and his focus in the town, and like his like connection to the town. But Silent Hill 1, 3, and 4 totally separate from 2. 1 and 3 especially are a focus on the cult and the devil aspect of Silent Hill, and like the real story of Silent Hill, basically, of Cheryl's connection to Alessa and things like that. And it does have psychological horror, but there's a lot more like animal monsters in this game. It has like demonic dogs, and it has like flying enemies, and it has like bugs and stuff. So it's gonna be totally different from Silent Hill 2, where all the enemies were humanoid. And also, I'm curious if they're gonna keep the Grey Children in this one or not. Like, if you didn't know, the Grey Children were only in the U.S. version because like Alessa was tormented by bullies, and so the Silent Hill that Harry experiences is all from Alessa's like torment as a kid, growing up in a cult and stuff. And some enemies called the Grey Children, they're the first enemies you encounter. They're like children-looking enemies with knives. And I'm curious if they're gonna do that, because that was banned in Japan. They had like different enemies than the American version, so I'm curious if they're gonna do that. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. I trust Bloober Team at this point. This is one of the best comebacks ever. Not that like they were horrendous. I thought they made okay, average to okay, sometimes mediocre games, but then they're nothing like horrendous. But they did such a great job of Silent Hill 2 remake that I fully trust them now, and I'm very excited for this. Silent Hill in general is underappreciated because it's not a high selling franchise like Resident Evil. But Silent Hill 1 is a great game, and I'm really curious how they're gonna capture the same soundtrack, where the soundtrack is very like it's not even like a regular music. It's like they just like created sound effects using like just like metal hitting pipes hitting like some of the hallways and stuff are just like someone hitting a pipe, but like they make it sound like a song, but like there's always a creepiness to it, and very unique, and it has very unique camera angles. Like, Resident Evil has like the fixed cameras. Silent Hill has that too, but even a creepier way, where it's like top down sometimes, and the angles are very disturbing, like they keep you uneasy all the time. So I'm curious if they're going to capture that, or is it just going to be third person fully? And I don't know. It'd be cool if they mix the two together, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to be a good game, and now this opens the door to everything Silent Hill in terms of like, are we gonna get Silent Hill 3 remake now? Is that on the table? Because Silent Hill 3 is a direct sequel to one. Because now that we're gonna get to the story of Cheryl and Heather and Alessa and all that, like, are we gonna jump into Silent Hill 3? I thought they were gonna do 3 next, but it makes sense to do 1 first, since one is their starts off the whole story. So, and obviously, I hope they do 4 someday because I think 4 is underappreciated and it's also one of the scariest. But the gameplay is really bad and it needs to be fixed. But the story is it's arguably the best story in the franchise after 2. And well, also people got to keep in mind Silent Hill 2. If you found Silent Hill 2 scary, Silent Hill 2 is the least scary Silent Hill game in the original 4 games. Silent Hill 1 and 3 and 4 are much more scarier than 2 is. So if you think 2 was scary, wait till you see Silent Hill 1. And especially Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 3 is the scariest. So, yeah, I'm excited. All right, let's move on. Is there anything else? Did you have anything else to say, or are you ready to move on?
No, I mean, as you know, my experience with the Silent Hill franchise is pretty limited. I never played one growing up, so I don't have a ton to add. But I'm excited for you and excited for all the other Silent Hill veterans.
Yeah,
And I'm just happy to be along for the very demented and sick ride. So
yeah,
I'm excited. Probably see more sometime next year, I would imagine.
yeah. All right, so let's move on to some indies from the Summer Game Fest. We're gonna hit on several shows. Now, some of these games only had snippets or quick gameplay trailers or whatever, and I don't want to spend 3 hours on this topic. So it's going to be generally relatively fast. I'm not going to go through every little detail of these games. I'm just going to say what I saw, what I liked about it, and then we're going to rotate and do that. So let's start with the woman-led game showcase. Not my favorite showcase of this Summer Game Fest, but they had a couple games that interested me. But before I start, I'll let Dory go first. What was one of
Sure.
the games that you saw?
So one of the games that I saw was called A Heavy Morning. This one, I have the Steam page right up here, is done by SAF Interactive. This game is all about the feeling of struggling to get out of bed. So you play a young girl who is battling with her own mind, and basically your only objective throughout the whole game is getting up out of bed, which is real. I mean, I totally feel that. So it's coming to Xbox, Steam, and it looks really cool. It looks, maybe a little puzzly, which is okay. I don't mind that in shorter games. But what really caught my eye was the I don't know, hand drawn artwork here. It looked really good, so I'm excited. It's on my wish list. Yeah.
Yeah, so one the game that appealed to me was Fallen Tier, the in session, uh, which was like a Metroidvania game that had a very unique art style. People say it reminds them of Wakfu, which I never watched, but I definitely see the comparisons. But it looks like a cool Metroidvania. I really like the art style. It looked colorful, and I saw this a couple of the showcases at this Summer Game Fest, and they kept showing it. So yeah, it looks cool. I'm very interested to see how this is gonna come, like how it's gonna show when it comes out. So all right, Dory, what's your game?
Right. My game is Lily's World XD. So this is a little cute throwback to the early 2000s, early mid 2000s. You were supposed to be channeling your inner 2000s teen as you read Lily's conversations, customize her blog, and look through her embarrassing selfies. Until it's a bit of a psychological horror twist, actually. You find messages addressed to you saying you're not the real Lily. So the creator came on stream at one point and said basically it's based on her when she was younger because she had a lot of body dysmorphia and just a lot of pressure about how she should look when she was younger. So she put a lot of herself into the game. I just think it looks really cute. / there's like a darker side to it that I really appreciate. I don't know that I'll get it. And just a reminder for everybody, these are games that we were interested in, not necessarily games that were day one on or whatever. But I liked the look of this. It's on my wish list. I don't know if I'll actually get it. but I enjoyed what I saw. It looks cute. Reminds me of being a teenager in the 2000s since uh, I was a teenager by the time it was like 2004.
Yeah.
So not that far off.
All right. The last game that we both have in common was Void Martyrs, and it was giving me massive Darkwood vibes. It was like Darkwood meets like Signalis, and also I was also getting Warhammer vibes because you're playing as a nun and you're fighting. You're like fighting people in a they have like a plague. They're like affected by a plague, and it's top down and it's like top down horror game. That's what it looks like to me, and it looks very interesting. It has a very unique art style, very dark gothic vibe to it. It kind of reminds me of that movie Event Horizon as well.
Mhm.
What did you think of it?
I thought it looked awesome. I'm not always for top-down perspectives, but I mean, Hades is one of my favorite games ever. So,
Yeah,
go figure. This looked really, really cool. It's called a grimdark survival horror about a nun in a spacesuit. I mean, if that doesn't sell you on the game,
yeah,
I'm not sure really what will. But it looks really cool. There's some scavenging. There's some survival mechanics. Obviously, it's a survival horror, right?
yeah,
It's got some psychological stuff going on here. It's inspired by Darkwood and Signalis with the gameplay loop of Void Bastards. So
yeah,
that's quite a resume right there. I have not played any of those games, but I have heard of Signalis and it is on my list to play, and I've heard of Void Bastards. So I'm looking forward to this, and I definitely want to at least check it out. It looks really cool, and I was very impressed with the showing here.
yeah. Those are good games to compare it to because those are some of the best indie horror games of all time. All right, so that was really it for the woman led game show for me. Just
Yeah.
most of them were like cozy games that just don't appeal to me. So so let's move on to the Latin America showcase. They had a good amount of games that interested me. Uh, I'll start with the first one, which was Neverway. We've talked about this before. That was that creepy RPG kind of looking game. I don't know if it's an RPG, but it's kind of like old school Legend of Zelda, but in a creepy dark setting, gothic setting. There's like monsters everywhere. The art style is unique, and like I said last time, I'm it's probably not my kind of game. I'm picking it more because it's just like the way it looks. It looks cool. I'm not sure if I want to get it, but I'm just curious how it's gonna play because it is from the pixel artist of Celeste. So that if anything from this game, this art style is awesome. But I hope it's not. I hope it's more focused on like action and like less on like real life stuff and like fishing and farming things like that. I hope it's nothing like that because I'll get bored of it. So I'm just curious how it's gonna play. But it reminds me of Legend of Zelda overall. Do you have anything to say? Because I remember you saying you were interested in it before.
It looks cool, but I'm never into never. I'm almost never into these kind of farm simulation games, but it is on my wish list. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a life sim RPG, and I just feel really mixed about that because I just feel like during the day I wouldn't be super interested, but
yeah.
during the night I'd be all in. So I don't know. I have to. It's on my wish list. I'm gonna see what users had to say and any reviews that might be up. Um,
Yeah.
so I will. It is on my wish list, but it's kind of like I don't know if I'll like it or not. It depends on how much they balance the life sim stuff with the RPG elements and the dark elements.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm just because the farming stuff just doesn't really appeal to me. So I'm this is a wait and see game, but like the aesthetic looks cool. All right, what's your game that you wanted to shout out?
Right. Well, purple is me, right? So the only one I have that you don't have is the trolley solution.
Situation
Uh,
or the solution?
it's solution because it's a reference to the philosophical trolley problem. So it's
Uh,
called the trolley solution. Look, I only picked this because I'm a philosophy major, and in college, and I had my master's and stuff. Look, I'm a sucker for this shit. I don't even know. I didn't even get around to the demo because there are so many fucking demos to play today. But it is on my wish list. It's basically a compilation of point and click mini games. Philippa Foot was the one, not Philip, but Philippa Foot was the one who originally came up with the trolley problem. And if you're not familiar, by the way, the trolley problem, I mean, it's been memed to death by this point by the internet, which is why there's a video game
Yep.
made about it. But basically, there's like, three people on one side of a track and two people on another. And if you press the lever, you'll kill less people, but you feel more morally responsible, right? Most people, by the way, for the record, most people do pull the lever. Not everybody, but most people. Because otherwise you do nothing and it kills three people, right? So it's doing nothing versus doing something, which all goes back to doing nothing is doing something anyway, right? Yeah, you still made a choice, as Rush would say. Anyway, this looks cool to me. Point and click games and puzzle games are not always my thing. I have no idea if I'll actually play it, but did I really perk up just because it's a philosophy thing? Yes, I did,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge nerd. So there you go. I don't have much more to say about it than that.
No worries. All right. So next game I wanted to shout out is Castlebound, which I've talked about before. It's a roguelite action platformer, side scroller. Like, I don't know if it's a side scroller because I think you stay on the same same stage the whole time and just fight. But either way, you play as like four players, four different characters, and it's styled like Paper Mario, and you fight a bunch of enemies on screen. And when you fight them, you get like items and stuff and money, and you buy more items, and it's a roguelite. Uh, it looks a lot of fun, especially if you have friends to play with. I really like the art style. I've said this before. It really stands out. The Paper Mario vibe looks really cool, and this looks like a fun game to play on the Steam Deck. So I'm actually leaning on day one for this, or at least near day one. So I'm curious how it's going to review, but it looks really fun. My biggest question for this game is how well does it play by yourself? Like, do you have to play with friends, or is it like practically unplayable unless you don't? Because there's some games that were like, if you don't play multiplayer, it's like it's not fun at all. Like, it's purely made for multiplayer. So I'm just curious how it's gonna play by yourself if I can't find anyone to play it, which I imagine it'd be hard to do because it's an indie game, and I'm probably gonna play it by myself. Because the only people that playing this are gamers like me, like people that play everything. All right, Dory, what was your next game that we actually both have in common?
Right. So the next game, I have a lot to say about this game because I played the demo. Wander Stars. This is the most 7-eye coded game I've ever seen in my life. It is a turn-based RPG. Not just that, but it's based on 90s anime like Dragon Ball Z and Outlaw Star and all these like crazy 90s anime shows that Seb and I grew up watching. So I took a bunch of notes on it. You can, first off, I love the accessibility options. You can put and one of the options you have for sound specifically is that you can put either classic or modern. And so classic, of course, doesn't sound as surround, but it has a nice little charm to it. I didn't put it on, but I did test it for a second.
Yeah.
So the game works like a 90s anime, like Pokemon did, where it has all those weird episode titles that are puns.
Yeah.
I don't think the first one's a pun, but basically, you have a tutorial at the beginning. You've got a tournament arc, kind of mini arc thing going on here. And then you've got an announcer who very suspiciously looks like the Dragon Ball Z announcer, just maybe a bit older, with a slightly different hairstyle for copyright reasons. The main gimmick of this game, it's a turn-based RPG, is you pick words together, and then you just fuck people up, basically. Now, there is a Undertale kind of mechanic here. I mean, it's not nearly as developed as Undertale. But basically, if you get enemies within a certain threshold and you don't knock them out or whatever, because it's a kids anime thing, they will, you can show mercy, basically, and you can end it with peace. And which, I mean, they call it the peace option. I call it the beating people up option until they cry uncle. I don't really know how much of a peaceful option it really is, but whatever. But the benefit of doing that is you get these things called pep ups, and your opponents will give you these pep ups that give you certain abilities that you wouldn't get otherwise, right? And if you're fighting multiple enemies, you can pick from one of the pep ups. But yeah, you can put all these words together, so you can do like super fire kick, or super fire punch, or extra super special fire kick. It just be as ridiculous as possible. There's a cute little scene where the girl, I don't remember her name, but she is playing volleyball with some other people. They don't show this, unfortunately, but they talk about it after like a fade to black because they didn't animate it, I guess. And uh, he was like, "You did great despite like your unconventional volleyball technique." And she's like, "Everybody should call out their fighting techniques, even in the volleyball field." So it was a fun little anime nod. This game is just a delight. I love it a lot. There's weaknesses. There's spirit points, which are basically like magic points. You can do that to give yourself an extra word slot, so you can put in more words. You also can put in the word block, and items do not use a turn, which is good, or they only use one word slot. So usually you can attack and use an item in the same turn, which is nice. I have a couple little minor gripes just based on the demo. It is a little confusing at first to place things in the right order for the words. Sometimes you say fire special awesome instead of super awesome special fire attack or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of like rearrange it until you get there. It only takes a few seconds, but it's a little annoying. And I wish you could just drag and drop to the place you want it to be. Instead, you kind of have to like figure out like where does the bottom start and then go from there. Maybe there's an easier way, but I didn't see it. I don't like this a lot. It only saves at the start of every episode, or at the start of every act within an episode. So if you not that the maps take a long time. I mean, I did about like 10-15 minutes and I got to act 2 of the first episode. But it's still a bit of a bummer that they don't save after every fight or every location. I guess they're trying to be retro, but that's one thing I think we could leave in the past. Not a fan of that. But there are these cool little things you can do throughout. Little mini episodes, conversations with characters. The animation's just, I mean, that's the main thing here. I kind of wish these guys had just made a TV show because this is so good. It looks amazing. And yeah, it's very me and Seb coded. Seb, I don't know if you have any more thoughts to share, but those are a lot of my thoughts.
The main thing is it just this animation stands out to me. Reminds me of Dragon Ball, but also
Yep.
it reminds the UI reminds me of Persona. The gameplay reminds me of
Yes.
Persona.
Yeah.
So it seems like Persona mixed with Dragon Ball. So it sounds like a good combo for me. So I need to look at gameplay more, and but it is on my wish list, so I'll keep my eye out on it. So, but you hit on everything else, so I have nothing else to
Yep.
add. All right, so my next game is Changer 7, which was in the Latin American show as a Brazilian game, and it reminded me of an indie version of Devil May Cry mixed with Power Rangers. It was very Power Rangers, which I also grew up with in the 90s, and because of all the colors and everything, it looked really fun. It stood out with the rest of the games because this was like 3D compared to other games where like had a more of a retro
Right.
view animation. This game, just because the way that they were posing and everything, it just gave me Power Ranger vibes. And even the logo reminds me of Power Rangers. It looks a lot of fun. Like I don't think it's gonna be like insanely great, but it's like a fun gameplay game. If it's like a nice 5 to 8 hours of just smacking things and having fun with the gameplay, it looks good. So that stood out to me. It stood out because the rest of the games were just look different from it. It looks higher, not say higher quality, but it looked decent quality. But you definitely can tell it's an indie game. All right, next game, Dory.
Sure. Next game was the Shadow Syndicate. Boy, yada yada yada, something something Dory game. This was very me. So I'll read the description from Steam. It's a stylized, get ready for this, noir stealth action game set in 1930s Brooklyn. Sneak, fight, and uncover a dark conspiracy using supernatural powers. Explore a vibrant city, play minigames, and solve mysteries in this thrilling cinematic. This won't be the first mystery game we look at, by the way, from the indies. I loved the way this looked. I even liked the combat. The combat actually looked decent. And I'm not going to say it's going to be amazing or whatever, but I love noir. Love it. Give me a good anthropomorphic noir, which is kind of becoming a thing between this and Black Sad and the Chicken Police game. It's really becoming a thing. Maybe it's been a thing, right? Because of that Disney movie that happened in the 90s, The Great Mouse Detective. But yeah, I mean, this looks cool. This looks fun. It's got some cover shooting. I wish there had been a demo, but yeah, you got like different, Molotov cocktail and shotgun and stuff like that. So it looks great. I'm really excited for it. It's coming soon, and it's for, I think it's just for PC, but it looks great.
Yeah,
I've already said that.
the gameplay reminded me of Max Payne with the slow mo
Yes.
and stuff like that. It's interesting with a supernatural element considering everybody's an animal already, so that's interesting. But yeah, it looks really. It stood out to me because of the gameplay. Um, you like narrative games more than me in terms of like you like the visual novel ones more than I do. I get bored of them sometimes. This one is like third person action combined with a mystery, and so I was interested. I was interested in the narrative and the gameplay, so that's why I had it on my list too. So I'll definitely keep my eye out on it as well. All right, next game on my list was Tormented Souls 2, which I beat the first game several times on different platforms, and it definitely shows its budget in terms of the animation. It's not the greatest ever, but it stood out again because a lot of the games were retro, and this one was 3D with more realistic graphics, but not the greatest of realism. In terms of the character models, but it's a survival horror game. It's old school Resident Evil, fixed camera angles, uh, tank controls to an extent. And if you're into that, you'll love this. And if you don't, then yeah, you skip it. But for me, I thought it was a nice like homage to Resident Evil. So definitely more up my alley. And I think there's a demo out already. People played like there's like 90 minutes of gameplay already that you can watch of it. It's coming to everything as well. So yeah. Dory, you also have Lurks Within Walls, right? So tell us
Yeah,
about that.
I was actually just playing that just before we started the podcast. It's a turn-based horror game, which you don't see a lot of. I mean, I know Look
Yeah.
Outside has really blown up, but generally you don't see a lot of turn-based RPG horror games. A really cool atmosphere to this one. Basically, you pick up a bunch of weapons, and you have a certain percentage of hitting certain body parts on the monsters. There's like this virus going around that gives you certain supernatural powers that you add to your kit. And as you go on, your powers become more and more. At least I presume your powers become more developed and diversified. Yeah, I mean it was okay. It was fun. I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it either. I'll keep it on my wish list and see what people think. But I only played about a good like 20, 30 minutes of it. So,
Yeah, it seems like it's a dungeon crawler, but in a 3D space. And yeah, that's the main thing I got out of it. It's a dungeon crawler, but instead of other gameplay, it's a turn-based game. So you run into random enemies and you battle them in the turn-based style. Now, did you feel like the turn-based combat took away from the scariness of it, or
um,
was it even scary, or was it just like
I wouldn't say it was that scary. It had a nice spooky atmosphere, but I mean, it takes a lot for a game to scare me. I don't think I've really been scared by a video game since I want to say either RE4 remake or RE8
yeah?
with the dolls, or specifically the baby. So it generally takes a lot for me to get scared. Oh no, Silent Hill 2 remake, that was the last one that scared me. But anyway, yeah, so it takes a lot, but so it didn't really scare me, but I don't really think. I don't really think that says much personally. To me, it's important for horror genre piece of media to scare you to some extent, but I'm pretty lax about that. I have a friend who like really wants a horror movie to like scare them,
Yeah.
and I'm just like I'm not as pressed about that. But yeah, either way, I didn't find it super scary, but that's fine.
Yeah, so I'm not like definitely getting it, but it definitely interests me just because of the turn-based combat. Because you don't really see that. Because I always said if I ever made a horror game myself, like a Resident Evil game, it'd be a Resident Evil RPG. That'd be a cool mix. All right, uh, so that's it for you. So I'm gonna just say the rest of my games. I'll go relatively fast. Oscuro Blossom's Glow, which I talked about before. It's a cutesy Metroidvania game in like a forest area. Reminds me of Hollow Knight, but more casual. And it stood out to me because of the visuals. All right, and I said I was interested in it, and I'm just keeping my eye out on it. The next one was Bogdan's Cross, which was a really great trailer. It was very cinematic. It's a bear in a suit of armor. Right off the bat, the visuals look great. It's, like I said, very cinematic. The way the choreography was really cool, and the lighting was amazing, and the colors were really popped as well. The gameplay looks fun. It's an action adventure. You're playing as a bear, but like in a suit of armor with a king and stuff, and you're fighting enemies. The enemies look like, let's see, like monster looking things. It just stood out to me. It looked really good. I mean, I talked about this game before. I think the animation and the colors are just really pop. It's a nice mix of 2D and 3D as well. And it was giving me it kind of looks like Little Devil Inside, the game that's never coming out. That's this is one of the best games of the show, I thought. Like, and I'm surprised this game's not being talked about a little more. But I guess maybe because it's a bear, not a human. I don't know. That's what it reminded me of. Little Devil Inside. All right. The last one was AILA. Let me pull it up. It's a horror game. It's a first-person horror game. You're walking in the woods with a flashlight. Looks scary, and the monsters look creepy. It had first-person combat. You're shooting and you're whacking things. It looked cool because it stood out as well. It was like, the rest of the games again being I keep saying this, but the games were like all retro looking, and this one was like more AAA style of a horror game. I'm It doesn't look like the greatest horror game ever. It's a bit generic, I suppose, with the forest area, but I'm just curious how it's gonna play out, and I'll keep my eye out on it because I love horror games, so that's what stood out to me. So overall, the Latin America showcase was pretty good. I had a good amount of games. Not saying I'm gonna get all these games, but the good thing was a lot of these games I've heard about before. I've talked about it on the podcast already. So I didn't realize that they were from different countries, like Latin countries. So it was good for them to shout out like certain countries and the developers around the world. So I appreciated the showcase for that because some of these games I didn't know what country they were making them. So all right, so let's transition to Southeast Asia game showcase, and they had a good amount of games as well. So Dora, you start because I think you played one of the demos as well, right?
That's right. I played a little bit of Until Then and Malapataka. So Until Then is a story-based game where you're playing as a student, clearly in Latin America and or Southeast Asia, maybe, I guess. It seemed like Latin America to me, but I guess I confused the two showcases. Whoops. But anyway, perhaps Southeast Asia. And you're basically running late for a project and you have to like work fast to get it done. I just got to the school. I wasn't able to get much past that. I wanted to check out Lurks Within Walls. So I didn't get to see anything past that. It's a story-based game and it has overwhelmingly positive on Steam. So it's already out. I guess this is a re-release or a port to the I'm not actually clear on that. Uh, It's sorry, 1 second. It's $20 and it came out in 2024.
Yeah.
So I can't remember exactly why they showed this off, but it has overwhelmingly positive based on almost 9,000 reviews. So it's a fateful meeting sets off a chain reaction upending Mark's life. People disappear, memories prove unreliable. Uncover a hidden truth with Mark and his friends in this narrative adventure and race to unravel the mystery before it's too late. I like the art style in some places, and others it was too splotchy for me. But overall, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm probably going to play the rest of the demo. I will say I had a pet peeve at one point where I tried to tell the girl that he was texting that I hadn't done the project and that Mark was a big slacker. But the game like started typing that in his phone and then deleted it and said "see ya." And I was like, I hate when narrative games do that. Like if you're not gonna like actually commit to it, like don't do it. You know what I mean?
Right. All right, so from what I'm gathering, it's made in the Philippines, and the game takes place there. That's where the game takes place. So what stood out to me was the visuals. I really like the visuals. The gameplay was unique. The side scrolling, it's very cinematic, even though it's a retro looking game. Uh, well, retro like pixel, like it's like pixel game rather. And just the adventure of it looked cool, and I was very interested. This was the kind of narrative game that I'd be into overall. So I was that's what just stood it just stood out to me. It looked like a nice. It kind of looked like Life is Strange, but like in a with a pixel art style. I guess that's what it is. It's been out already. I didn't realize it was already out at all actually. So I'm curious. All right. Uh, my next game is Montabi, which stood out to me because of the. It was like Pokemon, but like it was like a strategy Pokemon game, but with cards, and it looked cool. It looked like a fun Steam Deck game. It was like Pokemon mixed with a deck builder game, and I was just very interested in that. I'm not sure if it's roguelite or not, but it's giving me roguelike vibes, but maybe not. But I just like the visuals and the gameplay looks fun. So nothing amazing, but something I wanted to shout out. You can wishlist this on Steam, and it doesn't give a release date yet. All right, Dory, what's your next game?
For this, my next game was Shepherd's Plan.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, not the subtitle for Mass Effect 4, but instead um, a point and click heist game where you steal from rich people. And anybody who knows me knows why I would like that. It's an office point and click adventure puzzle game, so not really my thing, but I loved the visual art style. It's set in a noir fabled world. See, there you go. That's where they got me. As you're fired from the job to save yourself from a collapsing dream, it's time to investigate, discover the Black Company secrets, and take sweet revenge for the money you deserve. So, I thought this looked really cool. I love the frenetic, chaotic comic art style. Again, point and clicks aren't usually my thing, but I don't mind them from time to time. Like I just played one recently on Epic Games that I liked, which was called Paradigm,
yeah,
and I really appreciated that one's weird sense of humor. But I absolutely had a guide right next to me because I'm not that smart. Some of the stuff I did figure it out on my own, but some of them I absolutely needed a guide for. And so if I ever play point and click games, I mean, to me, look, this is my problem. Point and click games. I'll keep this very brief because Seb has some more games to go. But just very quickly, it's like the satisfaction of figuring out a puzzle for me is like a few seconds. It's pretty fleeting. But the frustration I often face when dealing with these kind of puzzles, minutes on end, if not more. And it's just like, it just doesn't even out for me personally. But I know some people like love getting into this stuff and they don't get frustrated like I do, right? They just figure it out and then they're really excited and happy and looking forward to the next puzzle. That's not really me.
yeah.
So this kind of game, I'm probably gonna have a guide right next to me. But yeah, I appreciated this game's art style and its plot and its noir focus.
Awesome. So my next game is Zen Shattered Legacy, which is an isometric action game. It reminded me of Death's Door, and almost exactly like that. But you're playing as like a robot, but it's like an Asian setting, and it looked really cool. And the gameplay looked a lot of fun to play. It has like no views anywhere, so it seems like going really under the radar. But I thought it looked cool. The gameplay looked pretty fun if you're into like the Death's Door style. Um, so yeah. All right, I think that was it for you, right? So the rest of them were me.
No, I had also Malapataka.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I tried the demo for this. It's really tough. You die really fast, even on medium. I don't think it's for me, but I love and appreciate the 8-bit, 16-bit question mark. I've never been good at differentiating the two, but retro-esque bit style that I really, that I gravitated towards or really liked. But yeah, it's a bit of a Doom-like, has a lovely soundtrack, but I died quite a few times. I was only playing on medium. There's like kid mode, basically easy, medium, and hard.
Yeah,
Weapons were fun. They all had alt fires. You're just fighting against these aliens and trying to get back home. Um, yeah, it was cool. I liked it, but I don't. I think it's a little tough for me. I'd want to play on medium, and the game's basically saying, "Yeah, you're gonna die a lot," and so I'd rather not play on easy just so I don't die so often. So I'm probably not gonna play it, but I still love the art style, and I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah. All right, so let me get into my games now. All right, so Acts of Blood we've talked about. Looks like Sifu. Dory, you said you played it, didn't click with you, but you weren't really a fan of Sifu anyway.
Right.
So I'm still really excited for this game. Comes out next year. I'm just curious how it's gonna play out. It's gonna be as hard as Sifu, which I really enjoyed, but it was definitely really hard. All right, so the other game was Whisper Mountain Outbreak, which is a isometric horror game. It's a co-op survival horror game. It says on Steam, the year is 1998, and an ancient curse has been unleashed, trapping everyone on Mount Bisic. Alone or with up to 4 players, you must explore, find clues, figure out a way to escape, and survive the horror. So gameplay really stood out to me. It looks like a lot of fun to play with friends. I thought I really liked the art style to it. It kind of is a very pixel 2D 3D mix. The gameplay looked fun. Kind of like this. The combat kind of looked like a what do you call it? A twin stick shooter kind of style gameplay. And enemy design reminded me a bit of Silent Hill. And yeah, it was giving me like it was like in a way it's kind of like I don't want to say Left 4 Dead, but it was just like a fun co-op game to play with friends that has like a retro style. I really liked it, and it stood out to me a lot. So I'll keep my eye on it. I'm curious how it plays solo, as well. Because if it's co-op heavy, then I can't play it. All right. The next game was Nightmare Circus, which also stood out to me. Let me pull it up. It is a action adventure game where the player takes on a role of a puppeteer trapped in the nightmare realm, set out in a journey to find his friends and escape the nightmare. So let me pull it up on YouTube. Nightmare Circus. I really like the visuals. The gameplay stood out to me. Um, I don't know what to compare it to. It's kind of like Death's Door again, but I just like I just like the way it looks, and the gameplay looked fun. It looks like a nice platformer. Oh, not like platformer. It's more like isometric action game, and there's some platforming with it though. So the boss battles definitely remind me of Death's Door. So just a whole, I really liked it. Again, it's a cool Steam Deck game for me. So I'm interested in that. The next one was Burning Sword, Death's Son. Steam says it's a Wuxia, so it's Chinese. Hack and
Yeah.
slash game.
Wuxia.
Wuxia. Play as a great fighter. I'm not gonna try to pronounce these names. Who seeks revenge for the death of his family at the hands of China's powerful person. Dive into a tale of revenge, redemption, martial arts, and intense swordplay. So it has it's a hack and slash game, and it looked really cool to play. I think there's a demo on Steam.
Yeah, this is the demo that I played, and I didn't have a good experience with it,
Yeah,
but could have been me. I don't know.
yeah. So we talked about this game before. I'm curious if the demo improved at all, or if there's anything new that they fixed, or but it looked really fun to play as. Like I said before, I'm kind of a little. I love Souls games, but I'm a little tired of Souls games. This looks more like Devil May Cry to me, and that kind of style of game, or Onimusha, where it's just like it's more action focused, not just like parrying and dodging. So that's cool. All right, and then the last game was NSR2 No Straight Roads, which was giving me really cool vibes to it. I really like the art style. Um, the soundtrack was a banger. Like it really stood out to me. I'm kind of surprised you didn't have it on your list. This feels like a kind of game you might be into, personally. I really like the art style. I love the style to it. Just the platforming looks cool. The gameplay looks kind of fun. It's very chaotic. It just has. It looks. I'm trying to think of what's the game called. Oh, Jet Set Radio. That's the vibe I was getting from this game. Even though you're not skating, but it's still like it's just something about it. I really like. I really like the aesthetic to it. Kind of like a punk rock vibe to it. The whole game, and the soundtrack was a banger. Like I said, like the soundtrack was the best part overall. Did you see that game at all? I'll put it up on Steam as well. It is a. It says it's a explosive sequel to the hit action music adventure No Straight Roads, coming to Steam in 2026, and it's Japanese. Did this appeal to you at all? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've never heard of No Straight Roads before,
Yeah.
so I'm not really aware of it. But action, music, adventure does not fill me with interest. I'm
Well,
usually pretty mixed on music games.
it's not a music game. It's like it looks like a 3D action game. It reminds me of Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, I get those vibes too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, those are the games that stood out to me, and a lot of good games. I feel like that stood out. Like they were different from each other, so I appreciated that as well. They were all like really
Yeah.
good Steam Deck games, and, like handheld games. So I was into that as well. All right, now the next show is more AAA, and so just for the sake of time, I'll go a little fast with these because we talked about a good amount of these already. I feel like before. I'll let Dory go first.
Sure.
What stood out to you in the future game
So,
show?
so I mean, Mafia: The Old Country. I'm still interested in, but
Yeah,
there's not much to say that we haven't already said.
yeah, we already did one on that.
Right. Let me talk about Echoes of the End because that's more interesting.
Yeah,
Um, so Echoes of the End. Let me look that up real quick. I
yeah,
should have it pulled. Should have had it pulled up. This is a perilous journey to rescue your brother, and prevent a looming war. Harness the power of devastating magical abilities to conquer enemies, traverse treacherous landscapes, and unveil the hidden history of. Don't know how to pronounce that. Ama. I'm gonna just say Ama. It looks pretty good, especially for like a double A title.
yeah,
It kind of gave me like the vibes of like Flintlock. And
yeah,
I really liked Flintlock a lot more than most people did, which is fine. Everyone's got their faves. But yeah, I liked what I saw from this. The action looked good. The the atmosphere and the graphics looked pretty good, especially for this kind of game. It's an action adventure. It's got magic and sword play. It's not a Souls light or like. Looks like it's probably more of a hack and slash, but we'll see.
yeah. This game really stood out. Looks really good. Gameplay looked a lot of fun. It's my kind of game. Very cinematic action. It's very cinematic third person action. There was like some platforming in terms of like grinding down like rocks, like a slope, or sliding down a rope or something. It looked really cool. It looked like kind of like a Viking setting. I want to say. I don't know, like, or has like a kind of aesthetic to it. It's a fantasy game. It just stood out to me. It looked really fun to play, and it's coming out this summer apparently. So we don't have to wait that much longer to play it.
Right. Yeah, it says coming soon. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that the game definitely stood out to me as well. All right, first game was The Expanse: Osiris Reborn, which is based on the show, which I never watched, but I know it's very popular, and it's a book series. It's a third-person action RPG set in the Expanse universe. You're no hero, just a merc caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to hold your crew together and keep the ship up and running. Your choices will shape your story. So this choice-based game that affects the story. Um, right off the bat, it looks AAA. The graphics are fantastic. I really liked the gameplay snippets that we saw. It looked like a kind of game that would appeal to me. I know there's a lot of space games right now, but it just looked like a quality game. Like this doesn't look like nothing. It looks very quality. I could have sworn they showed more gameplay than that. Maybe I'm Misremembering. Anyway, I'm surprised you didn't have this on your list, or you just sick of space games.
I mean, I'm not into the Expanse either.
Yeah.
Well, I never got into the TV show.
Yeah.
Uh, this one was a third person action RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't really grab me. I didn't feel particularly moved by what I saw.
Yeah.
But I also might have thought it just looked kind of generic to me. I would need to see more in terms of reviews and stuff. But again, I don't have big investment in the Expanse cinematic universe, right? So I just don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean much to me, I guess.
What I don't either, but what stood out to me was just the visuals and the combat, like third person action.
Yeah,
So if it's like a cinematic third person game, that's my genre. So like that's what appealed to me the most. And
yeah,
even if I don't know what's going on. So all right, Dory, your next game.
yeah. My next game, Fading Echo. Another game with echoes in it.
Yep.
Weirdly, big year for echoes.
Yep.
Fading Echo. This is a game we both thought looked really cool.
Yep.
Unleash water, harness elements, and trigger chain reactions in a fast-paced desert punk action adventure. So this has adventure exploration. It's got a female protagonist. It just looked really cute. It looked really fun. I love the art style. It's
Yep.
very comic booky, old school comic booky maybe at this point. I don't know. It's probably back to like, I know like nostalgia is a poison, but brought me back to simpler days. Just a nice, fun hack and slash PS2, PS3 game. So it just looked fun. I liked what I saw, and I have it on my wish list.
Cool. All right, the next game for me was Herdling, which I've talked about before. You're basically herding animals. It says on the PlayStation video, it says, head out on a grand alpine expedition with a herd of lovable beasts as you ascend a mountain path, encounter eerie dangers and surprising obstacles, and forge your way to the mystery at the summit. Guide a herd of mysterious creatures on a stirring and beautiful journey into the mountains and beyond. Herdling is a brand new adventure from Okomotive, creators of the atmospheric and acclaimed Far Games and Panic, publishers of Firewatch. So it's like a cutesy game. I hope it's not too long. If it's a nice like 5 to 8 hour adventure or something like that, I'd be really into it. It seems like my kind of game. I like these. I like these double A cutesy games, and I'm really interested in the story, like where it could go, and I love the adventure aspect of it. So it always stood out to me. Something I'd be into. There's always those kind of games where like I randomly stumble upon and then I end up really liking it. So that's why I wanted to say that game. Shout out that game. All right, Dory, your next game.
Right. Next game was Sacrifier. It's probably Sacrifier, like Sacred Fire.
Yeah,
But this was really, really cool. This was another RPG.
we talked about this game before too.
Yeah, we might have talked about it before.
We definitely did.
But it's an RPG with an interesting combat system. Got really cool pixel art and music by someone who's already done a lot of that before.
Yeah,
Video game music. So it looks beautiful. We've talked about it before apparently, and I totally forgot.
yeah.
But I liked what I saw from it. I might have said before that I wasn't interested for thematic reasons, and then forgot.
I don't think
But
so.
it's on my wish list. I like what I saw. I will at least pay attention to what people think about it.
Yeah, as I said before, the reason why this game stands out to me because I really like the art style. It has a 2D, 3D mix. It's a pixel JRPG. It's a tribute to the 90s games, and it looks fantastic, and the gameplay looks fun. It has like RPG elements, like at times turn-based, and there's other times where you're like actual real-time combat where you're dodging attacks. So I'm very curious with this game. It looks like looks like it has a chance to really be a fantastic RPG. So that was on my list as well. So I said that before as well. So it's really stood out to me. It's been on my wish list for a while now. All right, my next game was Sleep Awake. Let me pull it up on Steam. Sleep Awake it says in the last known city on Earth, people are disappearing in their sleep. Those who remain exist in a crisis of reckless experiments to keep awake. You must navigate depraved death cults otherworldly forces and the ever-present horror of the hush. Save to save yourself and those who rely up. So this is from Blumhouse Games, who are now making horror games, and it stood out to me. The visuals were cool. That was the main thing. The visuals were really cool, colorful. It was first person, so it seems like more of a walking simulator kind of experience. But just it is very obviously it's in someone's head, so it's going to be very psychological. The it just looked really cool. It looked like a game I'd really enjoy. It's kind of giving me Nightmare on Elm Street vibes, where you're like you're trying to stay awake, or something will get you. This feels like it'd be a really awesome VR game. There is some enemies that they showed that were really creepy looking, and yeah, so it looked cool. Did this game stand out to you at all? Do you know? Do you remember this one?
I don't really remember this one. Sleep Awake. Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't ring a bell. But I also watched. I mean, I watched a lot of showcases.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, this was the psychological horror one. Um,
yeah,
it looked cool, and I like seeing Blumhouse games again.
yeah.
But it didn't do a lot for me, just because like it seemed like kind of limited gameplay shown off.
Yeah, it's a walking
But
simulator. I think it's gonna be very trippy. It's gonna be kind of game where it's very cinematic, and I think you're mostly just walking.
yeah,
So that's why it should be a VR. It feels like a VR game, but it doesn't say that.
yeah, it doesn't say it anywhere on the Steam page either. It
Yeah,
says PC, Xbox, and PS5. It looks cool. I need to see more gameplay. That's where
yeah.
I'm at. It's not on my wish list.
No worries. All right, Dory, your next game.
Yeah. Next game was Directive 8020. We've already talked about that, so let me talk about Ludo instead.
Yeah,
Um, so Ludo is another psychological horror, so that's great. I played the demo. I just thought it was kind of uninteresting, honestly. Yeah, it's supposed to be psychological horror, like I said. It's a walking sim, but it's not really a walking sim. It's more like a crawling sim. You go so slowly, and so you have to hold down like the run button. But even when you do, like it's just a pain. I don't know. I played like the demo for about 18 minutes, and I didn't find it very interesting. It's very puzzle focused too, which is another reason it just didn't really gravitate for me. I didn't gravitate with it. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it was cool and the graphics were nice, but overall, I wasn't like hugely into it.
yeah.
It felt generic, and uh, yeah, it just felt generic. I guess that's the main thing here. So yeah, I took it off my wish list after playing the demo. Unfortunately,
No worries. The next game that stood out to me was actually no. You talked about Ludo, right? Let me pull that up.
yes.
Pull up the. I was looking at something else really quick. Yeah, so the main thing I was getting out of it is just it was giving me like PT vibes. It looked like a just a first person walk around the house kind of game. Nothing crazy, but it might be a fun horror experience. Maybe it's gonna be like those kind of games where like you're just walking through a house and then things jump out at you. That's the vibe I was getting from this game. But yeah, looks pretty cool. Comes out next month, actually. So that's cool. All right. The next game was Eric's Home, The Stolen Dream. Now this game really stood out to me. It looked really nice. It is. It says it is a isometric narrative driven stealth game, and you join Hannah's adventure in the vibrant city of Eric's home. The mysterious disappearances of her brother, Herman, ignites a chain of catastrophic events that will forever change their lives and the fate of the entire city. So, people saying it's like the Commando series or Shadow Tactics. Um, I can see that. I really like the art style. It's very realistic, but it's like top down. It's isometric. It's kind of reminding me of a lot of classic PC games, like something you'd like. Actually, I'm surprised you didn't put this on your list. Because it's very narrative focused, but it does have stealth and stuff though. But I was really into the characters and like the acting, and I'm just curious with the story. Um, would you did you see this game at all? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. This one was the Stolen Dream one, right?
Yeah, it was giving me like
I did.
it was giving me Disco Elysium vibes without the narrative, like without the all the dialogue.
Yeah, I'm not big into stealth. I mean, you already mentioned that part. That's why I was like not adding this to my wish list. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not like completely against stealth, but I'm very mixed on it.
yeah,
I do like the top down and I do like the graphics, but I didn't really think much of it otherwise.
okay. But it comes out next month, so if you're into it, there you go. All right, Dory, your next game.
Death on the Nile, Agatha Christie game, or based on Agatha Christie's work. So first off, it is Poirot, not Poirot or Poirot or whatever.
Yeah,
Hercule Poirot is a detective. You might have seen him in the train movie that he's in. Uh, I forget what the fuck it's called. Murder on the Orient Express. That's right.
yeah,
I actually remembered it, and I did not need to look it up. I read the novel. It's very good. Unfortunately, Agatha Christie was a huge racist, and I mean really huge racist. You can look that up if you want.
yeah,
So certain titles of her books were not the titles that they are now. Is all I'm going to say about that.
yeah,
And then they were none. Is I'm pretty sure the one I'm thinking of here. Anyway, I did play the demo for this. I liked it. It's okay. She's dead, so I don't care if this makes money or whatever, or if I had bought it, you know. But character models, this looks like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 kind of game to me. Character models look goofy. The voice acting's not great, and the writing, especially for something based on a novel or based on a novelist,
yeah,
wasn't that stunning either. That said, the main game mechanics were cool. You have like kind of a mind map that you put all the things together, and you kind of make deductions, and you link together people and ideas and stuff. It was cool. I did need some hints along the way, but eventually the hint system is funny. It's one of those hint systems where it's like eventually if you get to the bottom of the hint system, like, God damn, here, you stupid idiot, this is what the answer is.
yeah,
Um, because they were like, well, if the thief figured it out, then they must have found the safe number without asking anybody. I'm like, yeah, I know that.
yeah,
They must have seen it without anyone telling them. And I was like, yeah, I got that. And then they're like, here's the number. And I was like, okay, all right, I guess we're just skipping a couple steps here.
yeah.
So yeah, it was okay. Maybe good. I don't know. It just looks kind of goofy. The character models look weird and off-putting. I didn't care for it. And the voice acting and writing wasn't super great either. I took it off my wish list. I'll probably sleep better anyway, not buying it. So, yeah, it was all right, but I didn't think much of it.
Yeah, it didn't look great to me. It looked average, but it looked like a kind of game where like I follow a walkthrough and enjoy like a 5 hour mystery, just not trying to solve everything. That's all I got out of this game. That's why I had it on my list. Really, it's like the
Right,
kind of game I would platinum if I was on PlayStation. I would just platinum it, just get the trophy and kind of enjoy a mystery. There's nothing about it blew me away, but
right.
yeah. All right. So the rest of the list is there's one more list we have in common. One more game we have in common. So the next game was Hirogami. We talked about it a million times, so we can skip that. Obviously, I'm interested in that. Phase Zero. I so I talked about this game before. It's a tribute to old school Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Has a PS1 graphics, has really cool aesthetic. Uh, I've watched people play it on the demo, and I was very impressed by it. A lot of people were, and it looks like a great tribute to old school Resident Evil. I really dig. I love the aesthetics. I love the visuals. It's just really cool. It feels modern, even though it's a tribute to old school '90s horror games. So this has been on my wish list for a long time since I've seen it, and yeah, I'm really excited to play it. We don't have a release date yet, but hopefully it's coming out soon. But I watched the whole demo. People were playing it. All the horror streamers that I watch or YouTube channels that I watch, they were all playing it, and they all were enjoying it. So it looks like a great survival horror game. All right, Dory, the last game.
Right. Chrysol, Theater of Idols. This looked awesome. This was probably one of my highlights from the Future Game Show.
Yeah.
The graphics looked really impressive. It looked like a survival horror game with some weapons. Shooting looked good and interesting.
Yep.
The enemies looked cool. Sorry, I had a cough there. I just love the whole dark gothic horror motif here. You don't get that a lot. Again, another Blumhouse game. I'm actually in the middle of Fear of the Spotlight, which is it's okay.
Yeah.
But so I'm looking forward to another Blumhouse game, and it looks much more impressive than the game I'm playing or the game I'm seeing here, I should say. Yeah, I had it right the first time. But anyway, it looks good. Action adventure shooter, lots of horror. Looks really cool. First person horror action adventure set in the haunting world of Hispania, a nightmarish reimagining of Spain. So that's cool. Looks good. I'm interested. Wishlisted.
Yeah, this was one of the best games shown at Summer Game Fest. I thought it looked like Bioshock mixed with Blasphemous, because it had first person combat. It was like a first person action and horror mixed together, so like Bioshock, but also like the gothic aesthetic of like Blasphemous, the way the characters looked and everything. I kind of felt like it kind of also felt like it was in the same world as Liza P. The whole thing about it was really appealing to me. Like, just so up my alley. It looks great, and this is day one, most likely. So it was really cool. People are calling it Hispanic Bioshock or Catholic Bioshock with songs in Spanish. That pretty much sums it up. Yeah. All right. So I'm interested in that. Let me just go really fast through the rest of them. All right. So I said Phase Zero. So the next one is Hell Is Us. I think we've talked about that before. Comes out this year, September. Really quick. It says it's on Steam. If war is the closest we get to hell on Earth, it's because Earth harbors the worst demons humankind. In an isolated country ravaged by infighting, discover the secrets of your past and deal with the repercussions of a mysterious calamity. It is an action open world game. They've shown this a lot, I feel like, at PlayStation events. It was always giving me Death Stranding vibes, and still looks great. And I'm definitely interested. It also reminds me of Metal Gear. It feels like a Kojima game that he didn't make. That's what I'm getting out of it. So, and it's $50, so that's good. It's not $70, $80. All right. The next one was Ground Zero. So again, another tribute to PS1 horror games. Again, up my alley, not up Dory's at all. It's Korean. It says fight through post-apocalyptic South Korea in this retro survival horror, uncover the truth behind the devastating meteor impact that left the country in ruins and turned every living organism into a terrifying monstrosity. Fight, solve puzzles, upgrade gear, make every bullet count. So it's survival horror. So it's so up my alley. I'm very interested in that. Reach VR. That was it. Really, so a VR game really stood out to me. It was it had Shuhei on it from PlayStation. He was on there, and Reach looked like a fun parkour VR game. It's from the people that made Synapse, I believe, and that's one of the best VR games ever. So I'm really interested in this. And that was definitely a game that stood out to me. Really exciting. Rataton it's just it's a different version of Patapon. It's the same game basically, just they changed it for copyright reasons. The next one was Tenet of the Spark. This game really stood out. This game looked really cool. The combat looked really fun. Again, another game of Sifu vibes. I really liked the way everybody looked. The animation was great. The combat looked really fun. It looked like a blast to play. I'm curious when it comes out. It comes out next year. So people people really like the characters. They like the mix between the black character and like having two Scottish Vikings with him. The people talking in the trailer were fun when they were like being interviewed and stuff. So the whole thing was just fun. I'm really digging this. So I'm curious what the story is and all that. But I really thought this was one of the most fun games that they show at the showcase. All right, and then finally, Ritual Tides. which is, let me pull it up.
This was the game I think they showed at the end. It was like Lovecraftian, and they showed it for
Yeah.
like 5 seconds.
Yes, they didn't show anything, but just the I was just very interested in what's going to be. It says it's developer made up of industry veterans who worked at Rockstar, TT Games, and more. It's a horror game in which players find themselves washed ashore on an island beach with just one goal: uncovering the island's terrifying secrets. Ritual Tides is due to release in Q3 2025, so it's coming out this year. Even though they showed absolutely nothing. But I'm just curious what it's gonna look like, what it's gonna be like. So they got me interested. So that's the main thing. All right, all right, Whew. All right. So PC gaming show, the last, but definitely the least.
Yeah.
PC gaming show was not very good. It was too long, very cringy. They're trying too hard to be funny. Well, I appreciate when they, I appreciate those kind of things, but it was a little too much with it. And a lot of the games just did not appeal to me. I'm like, is this what all people are playing? Is so much base builders and mobile looking games? Just I love indie games, but like some of these games, I'm like, is there an audience for these? And then if there's like 30 games that look exactly the same, do you really have an audience? I'm always anyway. Uh, I'll let you start first because I've been talking a lot. So Demon School.
All right. All right. I've looked at Demon School. I didn't really. It's kind of got a Persona week schedule thing going on to it, but it's also tactics based, which I didn't really notice upon a first look. It
Yeah.
seems like it'd be pretty tough. I didn't play the tutorial, so I got my butt whooped, and I very quickly just ducked out and just stopped playing. But I do like the pixel art, and I liked the RPG vibes that I got from it. But yeah, I didn't play it for very long, and I ruined it for my wish list. So this was like more of a misfire for me.
Well, it says instant death. Like that, would that be really appealing though? Because I think it'd be frustrating to play.
Yeah, I didn't see that. So there you go.
Yeah. So, all right, you go do the next one too, just so I can take a break. Dory,
What's that?
do the next one. Might as well just. It's like
Oh, sure. Sorry, I didn't expect you to ask me to do the next one too. This was just a silly one. Berserker Die. It's kind of like Vampire Survivors, but with gladiators. And the gimmick here, which is not doing well on Steam, by the way. I added this before. PC, like Seb said, the PC show wasn't good. Uh, Apparently, it's not a very good idea to have someone just mash their keyboards to attack enemies because you end up just closing the program. It's not really working great, but it's a cool idea. Just go play it on controller, is what people are saying.
yeah, I'm not breaking my controller either. All right. So the one game I wanted to shout out was Ultra Kill Later 8 Fraud. That was the game everybody was waiting for on the show. And then from what I gather, when they showed it and then the showcase dropped in like a huge amount of audience, as soon as they showed this, everybody was done with the show. That's all they wanted to see was this. Ultra Kill apparently has a big audience. But it looked really fun.
Yeah,
It looked
this is a lot. It's got the original Ultra Kill has overwhelmingly positive based on 150,000. So it's it's got a big audience, just like you said. Damn.
yeah, people said the showcase went from 100,000 viewers to 80,000 as soon as the trailer ended.
Wow.
As soon as the trailer ended. um, but it looks like a blast. People are saying it's gonna be one of the best indie games of all time. I could definitely see that. It has potential to be really great. Everything about it looks awesome. It reminds me of old school '90s shooters, but way more faster, and more colorful. The platforming looked insane, like absolutely insane. This is one of those games that's gonna be very popular. I think this is definitely day one potentially for me. It looks like a blast. It's just insane. Their transitions between rooms, like when you go into the TV and it just changes like instantly. Very cool. Comes out this year, so this is definitely a game I want to keep my eye on. This was the best game shown at the showcase. That was really a really bad showcase, but it has serious potential. Um, apparently it's made by one person, so that's that. So it's definitely indie. You can even say it's indie if it's one person. Is right. It's does it still count as indie? It's like
I mean, unless they're like a billionaire with connections to Microsoft or some shit.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's it.
but that's pretty much it for the indies. We spent about an hour on that.
Yeah, that concludes our summer game fest. We hit on every showcase pretty much. We hit on AAA games, indie games. There's a lot of games. My wish list grew like 50 to 60 games. I feel like
Yeah, I'm up to. I think I was starting to just whittle it down, and now my wish list is up to 71. So heck me, huh?
Mine's 200.
Okay, well, yeah,
But not, although not all of them are from this, obviously. Um,
sure,
Sometimes I just leave games on there just to see wait for a sale and check later.
right.
All right. So now let's get to the main topics. All right.
Surprisingly, that was not our main topic.
Yes, because we do have to talk about the Switch too, which I have bought and had it for over a week now. I wanted to give a review of it, or at least a 1 week impression. So it's not going to be like a full on deep dive into literally everything. Just a general review of it. All right. So the Switch 2 is has a larger screen, 7.9 inches LCD screen with 1080p resolution, and has 120 hertz refresh rate in the handheld mode. You definitely see that. You see the improvement, and it outputs up to 4K when docked. It's heavier than the original, but it's still portable. The kickstand is much better. It's redesigned and has better cooling and more ports. The Joy Cons magnetically attach into it, and but even though they feel better and they're cool, the way they're designed still might have drift at some point. That's very concerning for me. I do not want to spend $90 buying new ones. All right, so the screen is definitely bigger. It definitely feels a little heavier, but nothing crazy. It definitely looks a lot better in terms of the handheld mode for sure. But even though I'm disappointed that it's not OLED, it really should have been. It still looks really good, but the big difference is when you're docked. Wow, when I'm telling you, the games really look a lot better. It's not a joke. This system literally transforms a lot of these games that did not run great on the Switch into really good games in the Switch 2. Like it runs a lot of games from like the games that were like getting 20 frames per second. Now they're getting like 30 to 60 frames. Some of them higher than that. It really is a game changer for a lot of Switch 1 games. And Mario Kart, which I'll talk about, looks really good. It truly looks because of the art style, I think, and the colorfulness of Nintendo's games. They really stand out. They really look pretty in a 4K setting. It's not like my PC. It's not like on a level of my 4080, or it's not a level of even the PS5 or an Xbox. But you definitely see the difference. These games run really well. They look really well. Like it feels like it makes the Switch look like nothing. The Switch looks like even back then it was outdated, but especially now when you compare the two, the Switch is like I wouldn't even be able to touch my Switch, the first one, ever again, because the Switch 2 is so much better in every other way. In terms, if you look at it this way, in that it doesn't feel next gen in the sense that like there's a whole new home screen. There's nothing about it like in terms of like how it looks that makes it different from the Switch. It looks like it really feels like a Switch Pro more than anything, but it's not a bad thing because Switch has such a giant library, and all people wanted was to play those games in a higher frame rate and higher graphics, and not have the performance ruin the game. Because if anything I can say about the Switch, as great as it was and has so many amazing games, that some of these games had really bad performance because the Switch was so weak. Now they're going to be quality, and performance is not going to be much of an issue unless their games are starting to start being like AAA hyper realistic Last of Us looking graphics, which they won't be. So it really is a game changer. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not hyperbolic. It really changes these games to being playable or not even playable, like really good. It really is a big difference. And as I said, it's powered by a significantly faster chip. It provides you a huge boost in speed and graphics. So you're getting some games you're getting like 10 seconds faster loading screens. Like it's a big difference. It supports DLSS upscaling for smoother 4K output when docked. Games run faster with better frame rates and visuals, including older titles and new ones. Like I said, it's not as powerful as a PS5 or an Xbox, but it is definitely a major leap forward for a hybrid console. I think it's stronger than the Steam Deck. I'm not sure. Obviously, it's not as strong as a Rogue Ally X or anything like that, but this is a quality handheld. It's definitely going to be one of the best handhelds ever. So before I get into anything else, Dory, do you have any questions about gameplay, focus, like gameplay, graphics, how
Yeah,
the
sorry about
screen?
for stepping away. I heard her scratching at the door, and I wanted to make sure she gets some love in my dog. I mean, yeah. How's the battery been so far? Like when it's not docked. I mean, obviously.
Now the battery is one of the weaknesses of the system. It's definitely weak. The battery is definitely worse than the Switch One, especially the OLED, which had a good battery. Now this is it's definitely expected. If one thing you gotta know about PC handhelds, the batteries for any of them are not great because the more power you have, the more your battery is going to be drained. It's like a gaming laptop, right? If you don't charge your gaming laptop and you're playing like a high quality game, your battery just gets eaten up really fast. And it's the same with the Switch too. Not as much as a Rogue Ally, who like the battery like is practically unplayable unless you plug it in. But it's definitely noticeable that it's much worse than the Switch One. People are saying it's some people are saying 6 hours. No, unless you're just doing nothing but looking at the menu, you're getting maybe 2 hours out of it. If you really think about it, though, unless you're like really playing your handheld like 5 to 10 hours a day or something, I think for most people, 2 hours is not really gonna affect you. Like a lot of people are just gonna play their Switch for 2 hours, like after work, or like with their wife or something, or they're watching TV. You're just gonna be playing for like 2 hours. So I think that's more a problem for like hardcore gamers or people that are like really in the gaming. I think the general audience is not really gonna have a big problem with it, but it's definitely a problem. It's definitely a weakness, I would say. Any other questions?
Yeah, have you tried Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk or any of those like big games that are like now on Switch 2? I did see an IGN review about how Cyberpunk runs, and he says it wouldn't be his first option, but if that was the only way you were able to play it, and it's the same guy who reviewed it back in 2020, and I think he gave it a 9 or something. He said it's not recommended. It's a pretty solid way to play it, but I was wondering if you had any experience.
No, I don't play Nintendo for third party games. If I'm playing a game like The Witcher or the Cyberpunk, it's gonna be on a PC. There's no way I want to play those kind of games on a Switch 2. Switch 2 for I because PC is my main platform. The Switch is purely first party exclusives, so I didn't experience anything like that. The closest thing would be like how Tears of the Kingdom looks, which is like significantly better. But in terms of those kind of games, I've watched videos and it seems like it runs pretty decently. But it runs pretty decently on the Steam Deck. But like, there's just so many like things you're losing out of it. Like, there's too many like you're not getting the ray tracing and the quality performance that those
Right.
games really desire.
Wait, you can play. Are you saying you can play Tears of the? Are you saying Tears of the Kingdom or Cyberpunk on the Steam Deck?
Well, both. You can do both technically, but
Oh, okay. Wow.
but the Cyberpunk runs decently well on the Steam Deck, and the Switch 2 is a little stronger. So I can imagine it probably runs Cyberpunk decently, but just not on the quality that the game's meant to be. Like it's the ray tracing and the visuals is like the main selling point of the game. Like you're in the world. So like if you have a 4080 PC, I'm not sure why you would prefer the Switch 2 version. I don't know. There's something about the Switch 2 to me where I don't see the reason why you would buy third party games on it unless like Switch is your main platform. But if you had like a PS5 or an Xbox or a PC as your biggest platform, why would you buy the Switch version? That's just my mindset. But I guess the portability of it. I guess it's the main reason because the portability of it. But Yeah, just not for me. Anything else in terms of that?
You already talked about the graphics. You said it's a notable upgrade, so I don't think I have any questions there.
Yeah.
How does it feel to play it portably? Like, does it hurt after a little bit, or are you good for hours, or how do you feel?
It's still not as comfortable as the Steam Deck or Rogue Ally, in my opinion. If still, my hand gets a little uncomfortable sometimes. But it's definitely better than the first Switch One because it's bigger. So it definitely it definitely feels better to hold than the Switch One. But I've 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 actually played the Switch 2 more in docked mode, which has been the opposite of the Switch 1, where I always played handheld. I actually prefer to play the Switch 2 in dock because it looks so much better on the TV. Because I think the biggest difference you'll notice is if, especially if you have an OLED TV, is that the Switch 1 always looks like shit on an OLED TV. Or even any big TV. I always thought the Switch 1 looked bad. Like it just didn't it looked like it was just not registering the game very like the quality of the menu or the screen very well. This it feels like a next gen console on the TV screen. It looks like a 4K Switch. It there's no like adjustments the size of the screen. It looks very clear. It looks like it's up to par with the Xbox and the PlayStation, and just in terms of how it looks on the television screen. So that's a huge difference as well. But in terms of handhelds, it doesn't. It has some issues with HDR, and it's gonna feel. It's still not the most comfortable handheld. And again, the lack of OLED is definitely noticeable because I have a Steam Deck OLED, and then switching to LCD, it definitely noticeable to me because OLED's the best. I mean, I'm looking at an OLED monitor right in front of me right now, and it really is OLED really is a game changer. So it definitely it will definitely be a slap in the face if when they do the OLED version in like a year or so. Now I'm gonna be tempted to buy it, but because I use it so much, I use it as a dock console now more than a handheld. I probably won't get the OLED unless they update their performance or whatever. All right,
Any big final thoughts you want to share before we move on to Mario Kart World? I know we're approaching the 2 hours, just so you know.
yeah. So a game chat, I thought game chat is cool, but like it's not doesn't appeal to me at all. But it was fun seeing like kind of funny playing it. You can see like their faces above the Mario Kart characters. Like that's really fun. It's like a nice laugh out of it. But it's not something I would use. I'm not game chatting with people playing Switch. I don't know. I don't. I'm just not one of those kind of friends. That would be playing multiplayer games like that. Like usually when I'm playing multiplayer Switch games, it's locally, like with my students or people at my house or something. But online focus, not for me.
Oh,
Uh,
did you try the mouse? I meant to ask this. Did you try the new
no,
mouse feature?
because there's nothing that uses the mouse. Like nothing. They made the only thing it was like maybe that Welcome Tour game. I'm not spending $10 on that. And I think it's it. There's nothing that uses the mouse. You would think they would have did a little more with it. So I'm just gonna be waiting till like Metroid Prime or something to deep dive into the mouse aspect of it. So that was a little
Yeah, I mean,
disappointing.
if it means anything to you, the reviewer for Cyberpunk on Switch 2 said it worked pretty well for him. It
Good.
was a little awkward at times to maybe hold, but people have already 3D printed some like grip stuff to help it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he said it worked pretty well. He said it was he says he's one of those people who uh uses the mouse before he uses a controller and just refuses to use controller for anything.
Yeah.
Just about and he thought it was pretty good,
I
or solid. So
the vibes I'm getting from the mouse aspect of it is it doesn't look the most comfortable, and I'll probably not like it. So I'll probably play Metroid Prime with the controller. Now I want to talk about the Pro controller. The Switch 2 Pro controller is one of the best controllers of all time. It really feels nice. It feels so much better than the Pro controller, the Switch 1 Pro controller, which was already great. This feels way heavier. It feels like a premium controller. Like this is definitely one of the best controllers ever made. It's so nice. The feel of it, the matte black of it. Everything about it is high quality. It's a one of the,
You've heard of mouthfeel. Now experience hand feel.
it really is one of
That's
the
probably not gonna. Yeah.
it really does feel premium and one of the best controllers ever made. It really is a nice controller. Like this is a must. It's a must buy if you plan on playing your Switch 2 a lot in docked mode because it really is a quality controller. Like it's the Switch Pro One controller was already great. This is a even this is 10 times better. So that's really saying something. All right, a couple more things and then I'll be done. One of my problems with the Switch 2 is the lack of launch games. Uh, Mario Kart World is a good game, and then that's it. That's all they have for like first party. Like obviously they have like Cyberpunk and a couple like backwards compatibility games like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild that are getting Switch 2 upgrades, and they look really good. But I Mario Kart World is not a game that keeps my attention for like 30 hours. So I need something else, and I just don't have that right now. The good thing is I'm playing so many Switch One games and retro games and games that I'm catching up on that it hasn't really bothered me. But it's definitely noticeable. If you're looking to get a Switch 2 right now, I would wait for new games to come out because right now all there is Mario Kart World and a couple of third party games unless you really want those games. But again, I only buy them for the I only buy Switch games, like the first party Switch games. All right, so to wrap it all up, uh, if you're expecting a revolutionary system, it's not this. It's a Switch One, but like way better. It feels like a Switch Pro more than a next gen Switch, but it really doesn't matter. It does exactly what it needed to accomplish, which is better performance, better visuals, 4K output. Actually, can play on a good screen. Like I can actually play on my OLED TV and it looks fantastic. Like I'm not like sacrificing whatever the visuals and performance. Like this is a must buy if you play Nintendo games even a little bit because it's such a huge upgrade over the Switch, and you can't really see the difference until you compare like until you actually have it. And the price is obviously a problem. Going from like $300 to now 450, but to me it's worth it because the improvements are so much better, and this is gonna be my go-to Nintendo system for the next 5 years, 5 to 7 years. So it's really good. I mean, it's not. It's like if you want to give a score out of it, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Uh, really good. It's a really good system. I can see myself using it a lot to complement my PC to play first party games. All right, and then the GameCube, obviously, games. I'm playing Soul Calibur 2 and Wind Waker, and it runs retro games extremely well as well. It's super fast. All right, last topic of the night: Mario Kart World. Uh, right off the bat, the visuals look fantastic. It looks next gen. It looks like a next gen Mario Kart game. It looks really pretty. The art style is really good. It really stands out, especially on an OLED screen. It looks really nice. Like I said, if you've been playing Switch One games and you're used to like the blurriness and the performance struggles, then this game comes out and it's just like pop. It just hits you with the high frame rate, the visuals. It's like, oh wow, this is next gen for Switch. And yeah, you definitely see the difference. Because it says it runs a smooth 60 frames per second on the new hardware. It looks really nice. The open world design is interesting. Uh, I really like the knockout tour mode. It's really cool. Where you basically how it works is you know how like in Mario Kart you have like 4 tracks in part of a cup. Well, they combine all 4 of them together in one large race. So it's like seamless. You just transition to the next race as like a lap. You just constantly go to all 4 of them at the same time. Like it's like they're all interwoven together. It's really cool. That's like it's the best part of the game in my opinion. It has a huge cast of characters. It's like 50 characters you can play as, and it's very accessible. It's a really great game. It's gonna be a game for all ages. It's gonna appeal to any, like I said, it's gonna appeal to like a 3-year-old. I was watching Kind of Funny and talking about Greg Miller's like son was playing, and he's like 3, and then like there's 30-year-olds playing it and 40-year-olds playing it. It's gonna be fun to play with my students. It'll be fun to play with like your family and friends. It's accessible to everybody. It's very easy to play. Um, it's very chaotic. There's a lot of more racers in this game, and you can go from like 20th place to first place in like literally 30 seconds because so much chaos happens. Or also you can be in first place and then like all of a sudden be in last place because of the craziness of Mario Kart. So it's way more chaotic, and you get a lot more punished if you don't drift correctly in this game. I feel like the drifting was a little bit easier in Mario Kart 8, but it's still fine. Like I haven't struggled with driving too much. The main problems I have with the game. Oh, actually, we forget into that. The best part of the game also is the music. The soundtrack is incredible. It's one of the best soundtracks ever. It better be nominated at the Game Awards for soundtrack because it is quality. Like it is one of the best soundtracks ever made. You could easily listen to that. But in terms of the cons, the problems with the game, the free roam version where you drive around the world to explore is definitely bare bones. It is not very appealing at all. It's kind of boring. Um, it lacks split screen multiplayer as well. It's disappointing in that regard. The free roam mode is a good start for them, but it's definitely something you could have kept in the oven and developed it more. It is no Forza Horizon 5, that's for sure. Maybe in the future it will be more quality and they'll expand upon it, but it's definitely disappointing. Like I said, the limited world interaction, the map is just underutilized, and there's just no exploration. My other problem is the unlocking the characters can feel definitely random, and the character screen select screen is definitely cluttered, and I'm disappointed in all the characters. Some of them I'm like I'll never play as a snowman. Like they put like random things. The penguin's cool from Mario
You're not gonna play a cow.
Yeah, yeah. Like it just like the other the previous one had like Link, and it had like other Nintendo characters. Like why could have did like so much with it? You could have had like Pikmin in it. You could have had any Zelda character. You could have had a Pokemon character. Like why not? You own all of them, right? So like you half the cast is like just animal characters from Mario or very obscure characters from Mario. It's not characters I want to play as. Um, there's no dedicated mode for traditional circuit style racing, so some fans will miss that. And obviously, the biggest problem with this game, more than anything else, is the price tag. This is not an $80 game? No way. This is maybe $40, $50, $40 more so. But overall, this is a good game. It's an 8 out of 10. It's a good first start. It just lacks content right now. This game is going to be a lot better in the future. They're going to update it. This game it's going to have long legs. It's going to sell a lot. They're going to constantly give DLC to it, new tracks, new characters. So right now it's bare bones, but it is a quality launch title. It is a quality launch title, and it's a must play, must buy. That's why I always recommend getting the bundle. Save yourself the $30, get the bundle.
Right, you got the bundle, so it was only 50 for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think it was worth 50?
Yeah, $50 is a fair price for this.
Okay, I would agree.
Even $60 is fine for it's a first party Nintendo game. It's a quality game.
Sure.
It lacks content right now, and there's some things they could have left in the oven. The open world free roam section could have been a lot better. Like if it was like Horizon, I don't know if you ever played Forza Horizon.
No.
There's a huge open world to explore, and it's a blast to
Right.
explore. But this doesn't have that. It's like bare bones. It's like you're driving through like Fallout, like Wasteland. It just doesn't appeal. And you can argue the tracks are a little too big, and they're not like they're really fun. They're really cool looking and everything, but there's definitely like a huge map of like on the track, and I guess it can be a little boring. It feels like you're going straight too much. But any questions about Mario Kart World? I think I hit on everything.
It's not really my game, so I was just going to ask you the price thing, but you've already talked about that. So I don't really have anything to say.
All right, cool. All right, so that's our show. I know it was a long one, but I didn't want to like talk about the Switch like 3-4 weeks after it came out, so I just want to hit on it today. we had a lot of indies to talk about because we like games, and we can have longer shows once in a while. It's not like it's not like this episode is 3 hours long or
Yeah,
anything.
we won't be having this length of a show in probably quite a while. So
Even then, it was only 2 hours, so it's not like
yeah, right.
we're not talking 4 hours or anything. Because
Sure.
I'm on their podcast and they're like 4 hours long. I'm like, how do you do that every
No,
week?
thank you.
Yeah, we
No,
used to do
thank
that.
you.
We actually used to do that, and now it's too much.
Whew.
All right, so thanks for watching, everybody. You all have a good night. Enjoy your games. Happy summer. Peace.
Bye, everybody. Enjoy your summer.